Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Lounge presents Everything Everywhere All at Once. This week on the shorter review show, we're going to be getting into the brand new cultural phenomenon, hit, directed, and written by the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, I think you say it? I don't know. I'm sorry. But it's a massive, huge thing, very popular. Ben has grand feelings about it. I have feelings about it.
Yeah, what?
And we're going to tell you what those are. So buckle up, get ready,
me.
and here we go.
Marshall, I like how your voice got a little sultrier in this
I was
episode.
trying.
I feel like the vibe of that new intro is a little sexy, a little. It's kind of crunchy.
That's everything I do.
Yeah, well, that's true. But the Lake Street Shuffle, what's it called? Frig, is that what it's called? No, that's
George Street Shuffle.
Street Shuffle and Lake Street Dive. The George Street Shuffle is a little silly, and I think it brings us into like a high energy intro where we just say each other's names. This one is a little. Yeah.
Let's talk about the yow.
Yeah. Yep. It makes me feel like I'm walking down a rainy, dark street in New York City. Yeah. And I'm cool.
It's cool very much like it's more film noir jazz than it is like welcome to our Ebert and Siskel show or Siskel and Ebert review show.
Yeah.
Like it's a different kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But it
feels like a YouTube influencer feeling.
a little bit. Like, but we're better than that.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Which is something an influencer would say in private. And I'm saying it in public, which is why we're different.
Wow. That's right. Thanks,
so
Marshall.
Ben.
Yeah. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I'm going to say this right off the freaking bat. Great timing on the episode because I think this is going to win Best Picture.
I also think it's probably going to win Best Picture.
You're not going to dive all the way in to say it is?
I need to remember what else is nominated, but I think that it's...
Top Gun Maverick, you're right, damn. We're screwed.
No, I don't think... Top Gun's not going to get it. Yeah. If Top Gun Maverick wins, I very much enjoyed Top Gun Maverick, but I'll be so surprised if Maverick wins.
I said that tongue-in-cheek. I don't think it will either.
Yeah. I don't know. I think... The most filmy thing that is nominated is probably Tar, and that's definitely not going to win.
Uh-huh.
The most popular culture thing is probably either EOW or Top Gun or Avatar.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the U.S., Top Gun, worldwide,
Avatar.
Cultural, Avatar.
I don't know. I think
it wins.
Is Living nominated?
Banshees is pretty classic Oscar
Did
stuff.
you look up what's nominated?
Yeah.
You want to just read through those real quick for me?
Top Gun, Women Talking, Everything, Everywhere, Banshees, Triangle of Sadness, Fablemans, Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, Elvis, Tar.
So the only ones of those I haven't seen now are Women Talking and Tar.
Okay.
And yeah, given that Living is not nominated, which I just watched last night, and I absolutely loved it, I think I might even like it more than the original.
Wow.
I think I would give it to Everything Ever All at Once. Do I think that it should be the winner? If it was up to me, I would choose Banshees.
Wow. Okay.
But
wow,
I understand why people are obsessed with Everything Ever All at Once. And I'm not going to be mad when it wins.
Okay.
I think it deserves it because a lot of times the Oscars are not necessarily at least Best Picture, is not as much an indication of quality as it is not that it's not high quality. It's very high quality. It's not as much an indicator of quality as it is cultural impact and what is happening at the time. And I think that very much so... this is the movie that makes the most sense for that. Whereas to me, the best of these movies that I've seen, the one that made me think the most has been Banshees.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would say this one made me think more than Banshees. So that's
interesting.
Fine. So that's
I think we'll get deeper into that.
Yeah.
So I watched this with Danny.
Okay.
Is there any kind of like let's do a little bit of like Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you don't know what it is, here's the IMDb description. A middle-aged Chinese immigrant, Michelle Yeoh, is swept up into an insane adventure in which she alone can save existence by exploring other universes and connecting with the lives she could have led.
That's interesting. I feel like I don't love that description, but mostly because I had a buddy who just told me, I was like, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once yet?
Yeah.
And he was like, isn't that another multiverse movie? No, I'm tired of
Yes.
multiverses. He's like, multiverses are overdone. I'm tired of them. And anyway, obviously the multiverse is a very clear, huge plot point.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, it's the vehicle that the story uses in order to tell the the mother-daughter story.
Right.
Which is what it really is at the core. Is something about daughter Joy? Is that her name? Mm-hmm. I didn't have time to rewatch it, unfortunately. Joy wanting her mother's approval and acceptance for just being who she is and having the goals and dreams that she does have. And meanwhile, mother she doesn't realize it, but all of these regrets about what I could have done. I could have been this. I could have been this. Right. What am I doing here at this place? All that kind of stuff. And the relationship then with Ke Huy Quan's character is also really interesting. He's my favorite person in this movie.
Yeah.
By a long shot.
Yeah.
But that's what the movie is really about, is this mother-daughter story. The multiverse stuff is just the vehicle that they use to tell this story. And that, to me, is what sells it more. Yeah. Because I feel like this is like, you probably caught the drift at this point, that I don't love this as much as everyone else in the whole world seems to. Okay. I don't think it's bad by any means. I don't know what Letterboxd, you were just talking about Letterboxd. I don't know what I rated it. We could find out. But I give it out of 10. Letterboxd is out of 5, which is always difficult for me. Out of 10 is easier for me to think of in my head. Out of 10, I would put it at a solid 7. Okay. And I think that's just because, for some reason, I feel like I have seen the child looking for acceptance, even specifically immigrant child looking for acceptance from immigrant parent, who is very much like the stereotype of that kind of like, I'm going to be super hard on you, and I'm not realizing that I'm doing to you what I've done to what my father did to me or whatever. And I know that you just want my acceptance, and I just want to, like, all that whole dynamic. I feel like I've seen that a lot. Yeah. And that's why it didn't feel as fresh and crazy to me. And the visual style and the multiverse stuff, the way that they tell the story, is what felt really interesting and unique to me.
Interesting. Okay, so from the filmmaking perspective, you liked that. That redeemed the multiverse, the filmmaking, the creativity with that redeemed more of the movie than the plot for you.
Yeah. I thought it was a good story, but a story that I had seen before.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And I couldn't pinpoint a specific movie for you of where I have seen that before. Right. But it just felt familiar to me to the point of me not being blown away by it. And maybe if I did have time to watch it a second time, I would be like, oh no, this is like, I do like this a lot more than I thought I did.
Yeah, that's fascinating. No, that's good.
But I don't know. That's where I'm at right now.
Do you also feel like you have a healthy relationship with your parents?
I very much do. I think in most ways. I think, and I don't know. My dad was the one who was always kind of more distant, but that was just because like he had a job that took him all over the place. And so he kind of wasn't around a lot. And we've talked about this, and it's something that I in no way hold against him. I'm not bitter about it or anything, because to me it's just like, this is the way that things were. And I don't see this as any kind of malicious act of like, I don't want to be around my family or anything. Yeah. Not at all. What I am realizing on the back end of that is what that did do in my formation as a person. Whether it was intentional or not, I'm a certain way because of this, and that. Yeah. And that's like really the closest thing that you could call to some kind of like family drama, family trauma that I was personally aware of as a small boy. But I don't know. I wonder if I can't connect with that in that way.
Yeah, I feel like a big piece for a lot of people watching this is probably connecting with one or more characters from the family dynamic. Whether it's Mother Evelyn, who whether it's the immigrant story or like the starting your own stuff story, or feeling stuck.
Look what I could have done.
Yeah, or feeling stuck in like, oh my God, my life, I have a midlife crisis, or like what have I done with my life?
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't have approval from my parent. Gong Gong was his name, but played by James Hong. We'll talk about that
Incredible.
later. Or whether it's the mother-daughter relationship that is stressed in this movie, or the marital strife between Evelyn and Waymond.
Yeah. I think I identify with Waymond the most here.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, why is that?
I think this is something that like me and Laura have talked about, is that she's very ambitious, and like I'm very much a Waymond in that the scene of like I would have been happy in another life just doing taxes and laundry with you. I very much feel that way. Like I have these ambitions and I want to go and do these cool things, and I want this podcast to grow, or I want to be a comic book artist, all this kind of stuff. But ultimately, I'm 100% satisfied with what I have at this point. Not that she isn't, or that this is some kind of horrific flaw, but it's just like a difference in the way that our minds work a little bit. And, she's always been very like high achiever with school and everything like that. And I'm just not necessarily. So I can definitely I can identify with Waymond a little bit here of just like, he is perfectly happy where he's at. Right. But also would probably be perfectly happy to go along with whatever she wants to go and do as well. Yeah. Like he's very satisfied, I think.
Also, I think he's just much more in the moment than he's grounded in whatever their reality is, whereas Evelyn is daydreaming, is stuck thinking about other things, wondering about the what ifs, which interestingly enough, a lot of this movie was based on the writers and directors. What are their names? The Daniels, right?
The Daniels.
They thought, okay, let's take what it is like to have ADHD and turn it into a movie.
Interesting.
So I think that's another piece of why I connect with this, because I'm diagnosed with ADHD.
What?
Yeah. Crazy.
I might be. Have we talked about this?
Oh, no, we really should, though.
For like a very long time.
Okay.
Also, I'm using like my family and relationships as analogs here. I don't want, if you guys are listening to this, mom, dad, Laura, whoever, I don't want you to think that I think that this is what you guys are like, and this is the way that you treat each other or me or whatever. This is just like specifically me. Yeah. The closest analog that I have to this and everything. So I don't want anyone that I know to listen to this and think, you think that I'm like that? Like, no. Yeah. No, I think that I'm like Waymond. I don't think that you're like Evelyn and that you're like Gong Gong. Yeah. That's what that is. Great. Just to make that totally clear.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. That's a good distinction.
But for the
it's
ADHD
always tough talking
thing.
about family on podcasts when they end up listening. And
I know, because I'm like, I also like there. I could go into very much specifics of like, this is a thing that me and this person are talking about that is very close to this, but
it's tough when
it's also very close to me.
It's tough when you and I could have a conversation like across the table from each other right now. Yeah, but it's different when you're broadcasting said conversation
to 20 people.
Yeah, good.
I think. But you understand what I mean.
If we ever grow the audience, we should keep the bit that 20 people listen to us and just never talk about. It's always just 20 people. Yeah, that'd be nice.
The
ADHD.
No, what do we call our viewers?
The
crepes. Yes,
crepes.
Thank you. Oh, Eric, we need to go to your house and make crepes.
Yep, still.
We'll do that, buddy. Yeah. So I, for a long time, have thought that I have horrible hearing. I still do, and I will constantly feel like I'm mishearing people. Laura thinks that it's her accent, and she gets very frustrated about that. And I've told her many, many times, like, no, for one, WhatsApp is janky, and two, I feel like I can't hear anything half the time. And I've gone to the ear doctor literally like probably 5 or 6 times across my life, specifically for this, and I've gotten a perfect score every single time. And there was a point when they were like, well, what if we do a test for this? And they looked into ADHD, if maybe like it was more of an attention thing, which would kind of make a lot of sense and kind of explain a lot of things to me. Because like literally, if we were sitting this close across the table, think of like a lunch table at East, right? Those kind of octagonal things. And we're across the table, other friends are here talking, there's other people, and it's not a horrifically loud place, but there's a lot of murmuring.
Lots of stimuli.
You're right here, I can focus so hard, and I have to focus so hard to make out just what you're saying. and everything else is so distracting, and I have a really hard time pushing other things out.
Yeah.
So I took this assessment, and I think, I might be misremembering this, but I believe I was like 1 point off. And at that point,
yeah,
like,
let's look into some other stuff.
Is this like, I don't know.
I think most things I've seen say that like taking a test to determine if you have ADHD is not super helpful.
Probably
it's
not
like
super accurate.
It's like it's
how do you measure a year?
Somewhat subjective.
525,600 attention deficit disorders.
600 attention deficit disorders. Do you want some Adderall? I have it right here.
I'm probably good for now.
You sure?
I'm okay.
Just try it.
Your prescription?
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Honestly, okay, so fun fact. Yeah, my dad, I was telling him how I was diagnosed with ADHD, and he was like, oh, wow, what symptoms are you having? And he's like, oh, wow, I've had that my whole life. And I was like, you want to try some Adderall?
Never knew that was.
So then he just took it sounds like a scary thing, but it's really not. My dad tried a couple days in a row, tried Adderall.
Yeah.
And was like, oh my God, this is really helpful.
Everything changed my brain.
Everything changed in my, like, everything works. Everything's in alignment. Yeah. And he was like, okay, I need to go check it out. But it wasn't until he tried it. So
interesting.
It sounds scary because, it's like methamphetamine or something, but, or something. No, it is not. It is an amphetamine. But I'll send you a really good podcast about ADHD and see what you think about it.
Okay. So everything ever all at once.
Oh God! Okay,
you asked me. This is going to be a slightly longer than 30-minute episode, just because of the nature of the movie, I think.
Yeah.
But you asked me what Danny thought of the movie.
You were going to watch it with Danny.
So I was going to watch it with Danny.
Uh-huh.
This is what happened.
Okay.
We were at our all-staff meeting on last Thursday.
Uh-huh.
And he's big into the movies, and we're both trying to watch every nominated Oscar movie. I'm very close. He's closer.
Okay.
I went to Columbia for a week, so he's cheating. I asked him, I said, oh, me and Ben are, because it's EEAAO is the way that people talk about it on social media, because it's easier to spell. So I'd like to jokingly call it EOW. So I asked him if he had seen EOW yet, because me and Ben were doing it for the podcast. You and me. You're Ben. In this story, you are Ben.
Okay, got it.
And podcast Ben. The answer that he gave me was like, no, I haven't. That's one of the ones that I need to get to. I was like, sweet. Well, what are you doing tonight? So he has a college group, and then he could come after that. So I was like, sweet, okay. So we were going to watch it. We sit down. It's like 9 something because it's after college group. And I'm going to my... he sent me some text about some other movie from last year and then another movie that's nominated this year that I was kind of confused about. But I was like, I don't know, whatever. Who knows what that means? And... I thought he was just being weird, making jokes, Danny. So I'm going to click on Everything Ever All at Once, and he goes, well, hold on, wait, what? What are you doing? It's like, haunching them, Everything All at Once, ow. It's like, no. It's like, Like, what? So here's what happened. There was another movie nominated this year in the international features, which I was aware of.
Yeah.
Called spelled E-O, Yow, or something.
What?
It is about a donkey.
No way.
It is the sound of the donkey, presumably, is the title. Just like Eeyore is a phonetic.
Yeah.
It is from the perspective of a donkey. It is a Polish film, and I guess it's about animal exploitation. It's super weird.
Oh, it's just spelled E-O.
Sure is. And so we watched that because we'd both seen Everything Ever All at Once, and I was like, well, I'm more excited to watch this weird donkey movie.
So you watched it?
Yes.
No, you didn't. You wasted your time watching a donkey movie?
It was nominated.
Was
so
it
we were
good?
I was going to eventually. It was interesting. It was really beautifully shot. The score was really good. But I don't know.
This
it was
looks
weird.
Strange.
It is strange.
If you want a good donkey movie, just watch Banshees.
That's true. Poor Jenny. Poor Jenny.
Rip.
Jenny's retired now. Did you know that?
Oh, this looks really sad.
It is sad.
This donkey's getting shipped off. Oh my gosh. I'm just watching a trailer and I'm...
Ben, it's not about that.
I can't handle it.
Close it.
I can't handle this.
Close it.
Oh my God.
I'm going to close your laptop if you don't get off the page.
Okay, I'm off of it.
Are you?
Yeah.
I don't
I'm on
believe
the
you.
everything page now.
Okay. So we watched that, and it was just a very funny confusion, and we were just like dying laughing because we had 2 different EOW movies.
Gotcha.
And we were very
That's
confused.
very funny. So he still hasn't seen it?
No, he's seen it.
He's seen Everything Everywhere?
Yeah. I think he liked it. We didn't talk about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's the context.
Okay, that's fun.
So I've talked about how I feel about Everything Ever All at Once.
Yeah, you don't love it.
Beautifully shot. The score is very good.
Yeah.
The acting, all the performances are great.
Mm-hmm.
I love everyone in this. Michelle Yeoh is fantastic.
Sure.
Stephanie Su is fantastic. Jamie Lee Curtis is just kind of there and winning awards for some reason. Ke Huy Quan is amazing.
So freaking good.
I love him. James Hong is great.
Yeah.
Jenny Slate
James
is
Hong
in this
is
briefly.
93 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
It's very good. But every technical element of this, if we went through script, score, cinematography, performances, directing, VFX, where it applies, I'll get 100%.
Yeah.
I just didn't connect with it. Emotionally, I think is my problem.
Huh. Here's okay. Let me
So
try
now
to let me try to convince. Okay, so listener, I'm gonna tell Marshall here why I think it's great. Maybe I'll try to convince him that it's great. I don't know.
Okay.
That's not really how it works. You know,
Not how
you
it
don't really
works.
convince. But listener, this is why I freaking love this movie.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a man who plays a character named Rick in this, and his real name is Biff Whiff. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for noticing.
Thought you'd like to know.
Good old Biff. Okay.
Biff Whiff.
Okay, first of all, this movie shouldn't work. There's so many moments in it where you're like, that was so silly, so dumb.
Yeah.
But like, I also, while I know this is silly, I'm also, it's somehow causing me to be emotional. There's a scene in one of the multiverses where there's two rocks. It's the most ridiculous thing. Like each of the universes has these, you know, for people who haven't seen it, it's some very strange versions of themselves throughout the multiverses.
Yeah.
One of them is where they're both rocks and they're sitting there and the whole scene is subtitles.
Yeah.
It's so silly. It's so funny. And yet I'm like actually feeling kind of sad, or I'm feeling emotionally connected to these characters.
Sad.
Or there's the one where there's the Ratatouille situation.
Ratatouille.
Where
I thought that was very funny. That's my favorite thing in the whole movie is the Ratatouille stuff.
Or even like the Everything Bagel. That it's so silly, but there's multiple scenes where they're talking about an Everything Bagel, and I'm like drawn into the dialogue of it all, or the way that they act it. I can't imagine anybody else acting out dialogue about an Everything Bagel and feeling some actual emotional pull and not being like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. At least that wasn't. I'm sure that there's people out there who watched this and felt like this is the stupidest thing ever. They couldn't get past the dumb stuff like that. I don't get why it works, but for it, I feel like it works. And clearly, a lot of people in the U.S. feel like it works.
Yeah, clearly, like, Agent Michael Scarn believes that it works.
I think, oh man. So anyway, that's point number one. Is there's lots of stuff in this movie that should not work that works. Yeah. Point number two, I think, for me, the message of like the nihilist message that none of this matters. All the hard.
The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind. Tell me how! The heart, Osborne. First, we attack his heart.
Take all of the sucky things, all the broken relationships we have. None of it matters. Why are we doing anything? Like that's the path that Joy goes down. Yeah. And at least evil Joy. That I'm just gonna destroy everything. I'm gonna cause chaos. I'm going to whatever because nothing matters. So screw all this stuff. And like the pinnacle of the dialogue for me is when Waymond stops the fight scene in the mall. And he's like, why are we fighting? Everybody stop. Like, stop the fighting. I don't understand this. I'm confused and I'm scared. You're confused and scared. We're all confused.
Oh, because the other Waymond keeps taking over and that's the real Waymond.
Yes.
And he's like, genuinely has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, which when he swaps between, I think that's a pretty crazy thing. Low budget multiverse.
Yeah.
Overall, low budget multiverse. To be able to, for him and all the characters to swap between their different egos, their different versions of themselves mid-scene is really great. Yeah. Also somehow, how do you pronounce it? Is it Ke Huy Quan?
Ke Huy Quan.
Ke or K?
Yeah.
Ke Huy Quan. I think it's pretty fascinating. I feel like each of his characters has a connection, has a commonality. Like it's not like I'm taking on a whole new persona in this multiverse.
No,
it's
still
really
Waymond.
interesting how it's still Waymond in every single one, but a little different version of it, which I think is kind of fun. Which is also the whole point of the multiverses, right?
Yeah.
Is that every single one is just like we made slightly different life decisions here, or one different little thing happened to us when we were kids.
Yeah.
And this is the
And there might be
the route
evil
it goes
Morty
down
out there
to.
somewhere.
Right.
But most of them are still the similar guy.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so the dialogue scene, he snaps back and he's like, I'm confused, I'm scared. Why are we fighting? If there's one thing I know, like, be nice to each other. When all this stuff's going on, we're all confused, we're all scared. We don't know why we're here on this planet.
Yeah.
We don't know why this is the life we've been given. But I'm gonna be nice. Like,
Yeah, so who cares?
Be nice. Yeah, who cares? You could either go down the joy path of destruction, or I don't care. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna be a jerk to that person on the street. I'm gonna be a jerk to this person in my life. Whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's all.
Life
is meaningless.
There's two choices that we can make every single day.
Yeah.
And that is, there's the great line from, I think it's Night at the Museum, of at the end where Ben Stiller's character says, like, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. And then the response, there's two answers that we can give to this. There's the answer that I'll tell you second, which is what Robin Williams' Teddy Roosevelt tells him. But there's, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, whatever. You can approach that with horrific anxiety and fear, or you can do the Teddy Roosevelt approach, and his response is, how exciting.
Yeah.
You could be anything.
Yeah.
We can be excited about that, and we can say, what are we going to, I don't know, what are we going to do tomorrow? Or you can hide in this corner and just say, this is a disaster. What are we going to do? Everything's a mess. I'm going to put it all on a bagel, and then I'm going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
Because it's all pointless.
Yeah. You could also move from like hyper control. I'm going to control everything that's happened to me, whether that is destroying the world with the everything bagel or whatever it is. I can move to clenched hands control because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Try to control everything that happens to me. Or the scarier thing, I can like release the clenched hands.
Let it go.
And accept it. Or say, I don't understand. I'm confused. I don't know what the point is all the time, but I'm going to be, if there's one truth, it's that I'm going to be nice to the person in front of me.
Yes.
Or whatever it is, right? So his whole thing is let's be nice. And then, of course, Michelle Yeoh, Evelyn, in that same scene says, I'm going to fight like you fight. And then it's so ridiculous, but she's like fighting in these kind ways. And she's like, boom, teddy bear, boom.
Diversifying people in nice ways.
I'm going to like fix your kinky back, like I'm a chiropractor, or boom, I'm gonna give you whatever the thing is. And then you see the scene and it's all the people, like, imagine within the multiverse, if this one thing would have changed in their life, if I would have gotten a back realignment, if I would have gotten the toy that I wanted for Christmas, you know, how would that have changed the trajectory of my life? And each of those things is like kindness. It's, I'm going to be kind to the person in front of me because this moment that I have with you, this speck of time, I think is, do they call it a speck at the very end in the final dialogue between mother and daughter? Like,
it's possible.
We have these little moments together. I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to be kind to you. I'm going to love this moment because actually the fact that I don't know what's happening, or the fact that if none of it matters, what does matter, what I can say is truth, is this one moment that I get to share with you.
Yes.
Is important.
And that's what I love.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, that's partially what Living is about.
Yeah.
The movie and life, I guess. But the movie Living and Ikaru is, that's the whole thing, is this guy figures out, he discovers, I have 6 months to live.
Yeah.
And he's lived his whole life as this bureaucrat. He used to be a young man and he used to do fun things, but then he just slowly over time became something that he didn't realize he was becoming.
Yeah.
And then he just goes on this searching, figuring out, like, what is meaning? Is it all of this debauchery? Or do I remember and realize there's something that I can do? And I can help these women push through the bureaucracy and build this park for their kids. And that's going to live beyond me. Like, that is the ultimate question of like, if this is meaningless and I have very little time left, what do I do? Do I treat people like crap and put it on a bagel? Or do I just be nice? Do I just do a good thing because, I don't know, because it's the right thing to do?
Right.
And I think that's an interesting thing where I think the way to get a little, like, theological slightly,
I think it's a very spiritual movie. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that the secular world has grabbed onto this so intensely. And I think that maybe part of why I'm not so blown away by it is because this idea of kindness and radical grace is not new or surprising to me. It is the foundation that I live my whole life upon as a Christian. And like, that is what I just believe that I am supposed to do and I'm supposed to live out.
Yeah.
And that idea is not something that feels mind-blowing to me, where someone in a secular position who doesn't believe in some kind of God or something would look at this more so and think, I'm doing this purely because it's the right thing to do, or because I'm choosing to, like, I don't know. There's something more behind that to me than... do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think this movie necessarily makes a case for creator slash
no.
Like within, I think within the spirituality, it's asking an existential question of what do we do, or like, does it matter? What happens when it doesn't matter, or does it matter? What matters? So I don't think it necessarily connects to a god by any means, but
no, not necessarily.
I think I can see how that's very obviously fitting into your schema of, well, yeah, I've already figured this out.
Yeah.
I've already determined that I'm not nihilist. Like, that's you talking. Like, I
understand.
don't think it's
I think you're right. Like, it's not obviously about that theologically.
Yeah.
But I think that if you shift it just a little bit to one direction or the other, it could very easily be the kind of movie that Christian creatives don't realize that they could make.
Yeah.
Instead of all the weird garbage that Christian movies are. You could very easily make a really interesting thing exploring these ideas, but it seems like those creatives are just too scared to dive into
something that is
alternate perspectives enough to the point of like, well, we don't want to tell people too much about this because then they might be interested in that. It's
I can see how there could be a bit of a Christian backlash over, well, there's no such thing as multiverses, like, why would God make it?
I remember when we talked for the first time about this in the Discord, and I'm looking here at my impression of it, I went and found it, like, Jack and Thad were much more talking about the nihilism stuff and about how it was like
dangerous,
not necessarily dangerous, but like that perspective more so. And I thought that was very interesting of like, well, we have to look at these other perspectives and these other points of view. And if that takes you away from what you believe, then that's unfortunate, I guess. But if it reinforces what you believe, then all good for you. And that's really interesting. And you can say, this is why I believe this and why I don't believe that.
Yeah. From my Christian experience with that, something
it's
interesting.
Cool
go ahead.
That this movie, like, I want you to tell me what you're thinking, but I think it's really interesting that this movie is getting us into this kind of space and this kind of conversation.
Which I think that is the thing that is fascinating to me. We can have this kind of pretty deep existential conversation about this movie, but then also we're also talking about hot dog fingers.
Yes,
and like,
which is one of the parts that I was like, this is a little much.
But also I think it tells a fun story of like, in another dimension, our enemy is our lover, or like also when everything like snaps at the end, and suddenly in every single dimension, every single multiverse, everything turns towards health or turns towards goodness. Like, the hot dog fingers relationship is back together.
Yeah.
They're like helping save the raccoon. They're the rocks are whatever. I can't remember how all of them resolve.
Dwayne the Rocks Johnson's.
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, just that how it jumps so quickly between stupid things, and I suppose that's the everything part of it. Everything everywhere all at once. There's like, this movie feels like everything sometimes. Like, there's so much stuff, or
there's
like suddenly it's a really sick martial arts scene, or it's like then it's like family drama, then it's like there's just so many things mixed into this. But what was I saying? I was saying within the Christian background, I think something that there's often not enough space for, that I think this movie creates a really good space for, is embracing the feeling that nothing matters. I think that feeling often gets pushed down within American evangelical circles of like, well, of course everything matters. Everything has a purpose. You have a purpose. We have a purpose. We were created with a purpose. Like, of course, like you can't question it. You can't sit in it. Like the very quick answer, you know, when you're a middle schooler at camp and you're like, I don't understand. And they're like, well, you have a purpose and you have to live out the purpose and, you know, that sort of thing.
Which isn't wrong.
Yeah.
But
I think that not making the space for it, like you were saying, some friends who immediately grabbed onto that conversation, that takeaway from this movie, of course nihilism's bad or wrong. I think that this movie shows a story of someone who accepts nihilism or accepts the idea that maybe nothing matters, or maybe at least recognizing that we are a tiny piece of the story.
Yeah.
Whether that story is, in this situation, there's thousands of dimensions and you are meaningless compared to the rest of the dimensions.
Yeah.
Or I am one of 8 billion people on the planet, and I'm a very tiny in the grand scheme of human history, I'm like a very tiny thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think this movie, they reach a point of accepting the nihilism, accepting maybe nothing matters. I don't know. It's confusing. I'm tiny. And then they come out the other side saying, yeah, but look at all the little beautiful pieces of our life. Like, doesn't that mean something? So I think, and I've even heard this said from more of a Christian perspective, like, is it Lamentations where they're like,
meaningless,
everything sucks. Like,
Solomon.
so here's what I'm going to do, which is interesting because I don't think a lot of Christians would say this. What do we do when we realize everything is meaningless and I am freaking dust in the wind? Like, what do we do? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to drink my wine. I'm going to eat my food. I'm going to party. Like, I'm going to accept life's beautiful moments because suddenly it'll all be gone. So like, almost like we're created to enjoy the things, or we're made to not always worry about the everything, and also like saying, dang, life sucks sometimes, or like I have broken relationships. Like at the end of this movie, the way that they resolve their conflict, like between Evelyn and Joy, and Wayman's there as well, there's like this very big moment of, hey, you do stuff that hurts me, I do stuff that hurts you. Why are we pretending like we don't do that? Like, but I'm always here for you. Like, we're family. Like, this moment is important. And they have this like big blow up, and then they're like, the resolution felt very real to me, like a real life conversation. Like, when you have a real hard conversation, there's crying involved. We're sitting with the therapist and our marriage is on the rocks, whatever. There's a moment in a lot of those conversations where you're like, is this real? Or like, that wasn't that hard. That wasn't that hard. Like, why we just had to say the words. Yeah. Like, once I said the words, it wasn't so scary anymore. And after that conversation at the end of the movie, they say the words. They say like, you hurt me, I hurt you. Like, let's figure this out. And then they sit there, and I think Wayman starts laughing. And then Joy says, well, that was awkward. And then they're like, you want to go inside? They're like, yeah, sure. Like, I feel like that feels like actually
it's very
how
real.
Those
you get
conversations
this long thing, drawn out thing of like all this craziness and blow up and all that, but it still just ends in a conversation. Like, it doesn't have some superhero third act set piece. There is a big set piece with like Gong in the mech suit and everything, but that's not the ending. You could the simple choice would have been to end it there, but they don't do that, and I think that's why it works better, is because they take it beyond that to the point of, no, it's not about massive world changing things, it's about simple you and me, and let's just talk about this. And I think that is, like, to reference and make another weird connection I talked about Night at the Museum, and now I'm going to talk about The Incredibles.
Oh, okay.
Is the when everyone's super, no one is. I think that you can look at that same perspective of everything is, I'm a tiny piece of this massive machine, nothing matters. If that is true, the opposite is equally true. Is that every tiny thing you do has huge impact. It makes a huge difference on everything and everyone around you. You might not be on the biblical scale of like Abraham or Noah, of these crazy, like, massive world-changing stories, but there are plenty of examples of people, even going back to the word again, that are just like pretty simple stories of people in their own context. And that can be world changing. And in this world, I mean, we're reading about these people how long later? Like a crazy amount. Like, I don't know. I think that you can very easily, again, like, this doesn't matter. But at the same time, that means that we can do anything that we're doing and that still can have impact and that's still important. And I'm choosing to do this today. And that is what my purpose is today.
Yeah. Also, like, kind of not taking yourself too seriously sometimes. Like,
take the pressure off.
If I'm going to be 80 years old and look back at my life and be like, why did I work so hard for that thing that didn't actually really matter?
What a blessing that I don't have to know the full scope of the plan for my life.
Yeah, right.
I can just go day by day.
Would you really,
living under the weight of that?
If you could have all the answers, all the questions answered, it wouldn't be so fun anymore. Like, if I could know why everything happens, then I like...
Suddenly you're Atlas holding up the world.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't actually really want to know, nor do I need to know.
What level of responsibility is that?
Yeah.
Like, because now it's like, do I just sit here or do I go and try to lead the world? And people just probably would think I'm crazy anyway.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
And yeah, that's the human experience, is where everyone's trying to figure it out. Which is why I think, coming back to what you said, I think you said the word grace earlier. I think I want to give people grace around me, because we're all just like figuring out the thing outside of, like, you know, spiritual grace. Like, I just want to trust that there's people out there who feel like nothing matters. Yeah. Or like even like, why do I have to engage with this movie and judge what other people might take away from, if they take away a nihilist perspective from this, or if they take away whatever, like, great, they're on the journey figuring it out too. Like, we're all just trying to figure it out. Yeah. And so I want to give grace to people around me, because
everyone and everywhere.
Yeah. All at once. Wow. That's good stuff.
Sweet.
Well, is that the episode? I freaking love this movie. I think it's my current favorite movie.
Yeah.
Because it just speaks to me. There's just a lot of good stuff. I think what I take away from this movie is receiving pushing through conflict with people I love and receiving their love back. And also recognizing my place in the world. I think it like pulls me, I think this movie makes me look in rather than out, or it makes me like slow down. I haven't tried to find the words for this yet. What does this movie make me feel? I think there is a lot to be said about taking care of yourself, or maybe loving the people closest to you, your circle shrinking rather than always expanding. Go.
Yeah.
Try to change everybody's life, have these huge aspirations, instead of just saying like the simple moments in front of me. And I think this movie made me feel like I often daydream about what my life could be like, or if I would have made this decision, much like, maybe that's why I like this movie as well, because the Evelyn, the mom, is not content with where she's at.
Yeah.
And then she sees all the other dimensions and she's like, oh no, actually what I want is like my family. I want like my dimension. I don't want the other dimensions. And I think maybe that's another takeaway from this movie too, is like, in my late 20s now, there's a lot of thinking about my 30s or my 40s and what life's gonna look like, and maybe not getting so sidetracked with the grass is always greener on the other side, because I just want to be content with my little simple life here, you know? Yeah, anyway.
I think that's good. I'm looking at my thoughts here from right after I watched it, and I don't think it's anything that I didn't say.
Cool.
No.
The other thing is like big financial success.
Huge.
This was a $25 million movie and it grossed
a lot.
100 million?
I don't know.
I
don't know numbers.
I think that's what it is. I looked it up earlier. Yeah, I don't need to look it up again. Yeah, I think they spent 25 million and got close to 100 million now. So
that's crazy.
That's pretty cool. A24, right?
Yeah, A24 just continually is the best studio in existence today. Even if they're making sometimes stuff that isn't very good, they're just the only people that are seemingly actually taking chances on really weird, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of my favorite movies that have come out recently have been A24 movies.
It's fun.
I like them a lot.
I hope. Where do you see? I just want to throw this question out before we're done. Where do you see Ke Huy Quan going after this? After like 20-year hiatus?
I don't know.
And like, man, he's still got the acting chops. Clearly,
he does.
Like,
I think
what kind of role do you think he lands after this? Does he keep acting?
He's already gotten a few offers from. I think is he in a Star Wars?
Oh shoot! I did see something like that. I don't remember right now.
Let me just look it up real quick, and we can do a little bit of cutting if we need to. Can I just look at like upcoming projects on IMDb? Maybe.
Oh.
Actor upcoming. Oh no, he's gonna be in Loki.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. I knew it was something Disney.
Yeah, so he is. So Ke Huy Quan is already going to be in Loki season 2. He's apparently in 6 episodes. I don't know how many are going to be in this show. I don't know who he will be playing or anything like that, but that's really cool. Apparently, like Kevin Feige called him very soon after all this happened, which is really sweet.
That's cool. And Spielberg too, right?
Oh, I mean, they connected. They talked about it.
I'm pretty sure I saw a quote was like after this came out, he's like, yeah, so like Spielberg called me up, and it's like cool. Like I think was there's like some interesting connection between the two of them. Like they like stayed in contact after.
I don't know. After Goonies.
After Goonies, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
I feel like there's some lore story behind that. It was either him or was it one of the other actors that Spielberg kept sending Christmas presents to every year? I want to say it was him.
I don't know.
I
it seems like something that he would do.
Spielberg continued to send him Christmas presents.
He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I love Steven Spielberg. There's also the very wonderful. I almost said the word. The very wonderful story of when he was being announced that he was going to be in Loki season 2, and at the same time they were having an Indiana Jones 5 panel at D23. So backstage, apparently, because we never saw the two of them together on stage, Harrison Ford and Ke.
Yeah.
But apparently backstage, when he saw him, because Ke doesn't realize he's so famous and that people love him, so he keeps running up to all these celebrities and being like, I love you, I love your work, can I have a selfie with you? And there's all these pictures of Ke taking selfies with celebrities.
No way!
It's really cute.
Oh.
But apparently what happened is he went up to Harrison, and Harrison turned around and like grabbed him by the shoulders and went, Shorty! And just immediately recognized him.
Fun.
And because his character was Short Round in the
yeah.
original Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. And it's like, that's wonderful.
That's fun.
And he was just expressed that he was very happy for him and everything. And there's a wonderful picture of the two of them like hugging so tight. And Harrison Ford can be a curmudgeon and clearly has some kind of public speaking anxiety, as much as he's an old man and would like to deny that probably.
Yeah.
But he is very much seemingly a very, very nice, kind man behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. And I love that for both of them. And I think that he should be the new Indiana Jones. We should have a Short Round grown-up thing.
That'd be dope. Anyway, I think this movie's gonna do well at the Oscars, but we'll have to see.
think so.
Anyway, guys, that was a long, short pod.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
I mean, 30 to 45 is the goal. We're at 53 right now.
Oh, sweet.
But it's okay. It's everything. It's everywhere. And it's all at once.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to talk about with that.
Yeah.
So everyone, we'll do we do toasts on CLP?
Nope.
Okay, we're not gonna then. Thanks everyone. We talked about everything everywhere all at once. We talked about it everywhere here in the lounge. We talked about everything about it.
That's a fun thing about. I think the fun thing with these short ones is that sometimes I like a thing and you don't like a thing, versus the other ones usually we both
think it's great.
So I think this was fun that you had it 7 out of 10. I had it like 9 out of 10. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
I think that's cool.
Good stuff.
Also, I want to. Do you want to talk about Creed 3 next CLP?
Yeah.
Have you seen the other ones?
No, I need to.
You should watch them, and then we should watch. Have you seen the Rocky movies? All the Rocky movies?
Not all of them, but yeah.
Have you? Okay, well,
the important ones.
Yeah, I think Rocky Balboa would be a good one to watch because their relationship with his son is kind of important to the Creed movies a little bit.
Cool.
And that's what that one is about. So if you've seen Rocky 1, 2, and 4, that's what's important.
Those are the ones I've seen. Cool.
Rocky 1, 2, 4, and Rocky Balboa.
Okay.
Those are the ones that you would want to watch.
Okay.
To then watch Creed 1, 2, 3.
Cool.
I'm really excited for Creed 3. I think it looks really good, and I might go watch it maybe today.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Just by myself.
Have fun.
Because I'm a lonely boy.
That's good for you. No, that's good for you.
It is. It's been a weekend of movies for me. But everyone, we might do that next episode. We'll keep you up to date. We've been kind of lacking in the social medias lately, and I'm sorry about that. I've changed jobs, and it's been a weird, interesting schedule and trying to get used to that. So we're going to get on top of that.
Good
I have
faith,
a few
Marshall.
clips. I know. We have a few clips that I'm going to put together for social media from the sports episode, and that's really fun. There were some really funny moments. We loved having Elijah here. If we can find a way, I'd love to have him as a somewhat recurring guest. I thought that was really fun. But yeah, just thank you everyone for listening to this episode. You can check us out again on social media, on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all these different places. And these are all linked in the description. At Twitch, on YouTube, we were talking about maybe doing some video game stuff for fun, doing some co-op gaming. That could be fun. And I think that I would actually genuinely enjoy probably putting that together.
That'd be fun.
And I think doing co-op games like that is just really enjoyable. Multiplayer gets a lot of play, but just a guy and a guy playing a somewhat quote-unquote single-player game together, really entertaining. Me and roommate Ben played all the way through Far Cry 5 co-op, and it was so much fun.
That's great.
And it's just a good time. But yeah, everyone, I think that's all the things. Please rate, subscribe, follow, whatever it is, the show. We appreciate you. We love you all. And yeah, I don't know what we're going to do next episode. Do you have any ideas for the full-size lounge?
I'll come up with something.
We'll come up with something.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next
I
time.
need to use some Adderall. All right.
I've been
Bye.
Marshall.
I've been